the algorithm, this wonderful tool that helps you to curate the things that you like and then feeds you more of those things in an endless cycle. You don't need to discover anything new or find new interests when the algorithm has you covered, right? Wrong. We need more human curation in our lives, and this very video, which was created with your help, is going to fix that. And who better for human curation than the sponsor of today's video, Book of the Month. If we're talking about breaking out of our algorithmic bubble and trying something you might never have found on your own, this is exactly what Book of the Month is built on. Every month, their editorial team handpicks a short list of the best new fiction out there, and every member chooses from the exact same list. A list that's curated by a bunch of well-read humans who think that these specific books are worth your time, which is pretty cool. This month I picked up Bloodbound by Ellis Hunter, which is definitely in my usual wheelhouse of adventure fantasy with dragons. But I also picked up The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark, which is a lockroom thriller featuring a set of authors. It's not something I usually would find on my own, so I'm really excited to read this one. If 1 month's picks don't grab you, you can skip it and you won't be charged. And if you read something and don't really love it, their reader's guarantee means that they'll replace it for free in your next box. There's also a loyalty program, so the longer that you're a member, the more that you save. And to celebrate their 100th anniversary, Book of the Month is offering the best deal that they have ever done that they're not doing again, and I have the privilege of sharing it with you. For a limited time and for their 100th anniversary, you can get your first book for just 100 cents. Yes, you heard me right. You can do this by using the code 100 at bookofthemonth.com, and I'll leave the link and some extra info in the description. Now, let's talk about those pesky algorithms. It doesn't matter if you're on YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram, you, my friend, are consuming content within an algorithm. A system that's designed to understand you and your tastes and feed you more of the things that you like, so you'll stay on that platform for as long as humanly possible. If you're interested in books, you might see similar videos or posts from similar creators, leading to similar books being recommended to you through those people. And at first you might think, well, that's great. I like those types of books, so why wouldn't I want an algorithm to work in my favor? Why wouldn't I be happy being shown similar stuff all the time? I want to read it anyway, so what's the harm? Well, I will ask you this. When you were a kid, how did you discover that you like to draw, or finger paint, or play hopscotch, or play video games? You discovered this because you tried something new. You or someone in your life encouraged you to give it a go, and through that trying, you discovered something you absolutely loved. Without the trying, without the discovery, you would never know. The same applies to books. If we're stuck in our algorithmic echo chambers, we will never find out if we might love a new genre or find a new book we may never have picked up otherwise. We would never know because we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to try. So, in an effort to break this algorithmic cycle and bring all of you lovely viewers together, I asked you for your help. For the past few weeks, I have been collecting your responses to the anti-algorithm reading list survey, and in this video, I'm going to share those results with you. This collective experiment was inspired by Shameless Nerd, who did something very similar, but not just for books, for music, film, and even YouTube creators, so go give him some love. I really enjoy the videos he puts together. Okay, so for this reading list, which I'm hoping to repeat every year, by the way, I asked you guys 9 questions and you gave me books to fit them. I was very specific with my questions. My aim was to get you to give me book recommendations that would produce a hopefully fun and interesting selection of books that the internet can use for some fresh reading material. I went through all your answers, filtered out hopefully anything dodgy, including, I'm sorry to say, some authors that I don't think deserve a spot on this list, and what we have is quite the selection. So to make this easier for you guys anyway, this took me ages, I put together one huge anti-algorithm reading list in the StoryGraph and then separate lists for each question. So let's go through them. Let's first take a little peek at the master list. Now, these are all in draft, but they will be live by the time that this video goes live. But this is just a little sneak peek at the books that have been included in the entire anti-algorithm reading list. And these are hopefully in alphabetical order. This is what I mean when I say it took me ages. But let's start with the first question in the survey, which is a book you've hardly ever seen anybody else talk about, but think everybody should read. And I called this More People Should Read These. There are 50 books in this list, so I'm just going to scroll through and point out any that I either thought looked really interesting or that I have read personally. And then when you go through, you can see what you might like to read yourself. So one of the things that stood out to me was Bear Town. I have heard really good things about this, and this Bat Eater and other names for Cora Zheng. I think pretty much one person posted this for quite a few different answers, or there might have been multiple different people who picked this one out, but that does look quite interesting to me. Disobedient is something I have seen around and definitely is in my wheelhouse of something I might like to read. And then there's a whole list of things that I have never heard of or seen before in this list, which is exactly what I wanted. Some of these books have very few reviews, and when I say very few, I mean less than 1,000, which means that they're a little bit less discovered options, but there are some more popular books here, but they were popular, years ago, so maybe people haven't heard of them as much now. So I'm really pleased with this list. Good job, guys. The next question was a book you'd recommend to somebody in a reading slump, and I called this Reading Slump Fixers. Okay, so some of these books are ones that I have really enjoyed or I have seen or on my TBR. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy I read when I was much younger and really enjoyed it. Definitely think that it fits this list because it's just a quicker, fun read that will get you out of a slump. Hunger Games, to me, you can't go wrong with it. I know there's a lot of people out there who don't really like it, but I read it when I was in a very particular time in my life, and I think it's very entertaining. And then there are a bunch of other things in here that I think look really interesting. Some things that are maybe an initial glance wouldn't consider something that would get you out of a slump, but if people think that they do, then maybe that's something to give a try. The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich, I have heard really good things about this. I think it is a graphic novel, and there are a few graphic novels in here, which is definitely a good shout because when I'm in a reading slump or I need something in between other books, a graphic novel or a comic or something is a really good option. Okay, next we have a book you read in one sitting and couldn't put down. Read in one sitting because it's addictive. The books on this list are a combination of shorter books and books that are, addictive to read. And there are some very interesting books in this list. This Is How You Lose the Time War, and I've just realized I've put the study guide in there rather than the actual book. So that's on me. Is a fantastic book. I have it on my shelf right here, and definitely one I want to reread. The Tainted Cup, I read that this year, really great, and I cannot read the next book yet because I'm still on my book buying ban, but I will. Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping, which I think I have that here too, is, aside from the initial Hunger Games books, this one is like peak, and I'm looking forward to the film coming out. And then there are some really interesting books here. One that I have gifted to somebody before but never read myself, which is The Wedding People, and Yellowface, which is fantastic. There's some T. Kingfisher books throughout all of the lists, and I think they're excellent options to be reading. The Song of Achilles is an addictive book, keeps you in. Animal Farm was fantastic, very short. Vicious was fantastic too. I need to read the next one, but again, I'm on a book buying ban. So there's some great options in there, and definitely some I'm going to be adding to my TBR that I've never read before. Okay, next we have a book you almost didn't read, but are so glad you did. I named this Almost Didn't Read, Glad I Did. And this list has some gems in it as well, and also some books that I have also never heard of, but obviously while I was going through and filtering books out, I have checked out some of these books. So I will go through some of these. That Medusa, that's here by Jessie Burton. I presumed that whoever added this, it was not the graphic novel version and instead the book version, but I could not find the book version on the StoryGraph for some reason, so I've put the graphic novel version. So presume that that is either one or the other. Piranesi is a fantastic book. Up here is, I think it's one of those ones where you either love it or kind of dislike it. Dungeon Crawler Carl is one of the books that I'm really looking forward to trying when I'm done with my book buying ban. A Dowry of Blood is a brilliant book. The Shadow of the Gods is one that I would potentially like to try again with one day because I could not get into it, and I'm not sure if it's because I was in the wrong headspace or not. And there's some interesting ones in here. Oh, the fifth season was actually a book that I really struggled with and I ended up DNFing. But it's appeared in this list and another one, if I remember right, and it's making me think that I should give that another go, as well as some people in my Discord server who also said that I should probably be giving that another go. Howl's Moving Castle, which to me is a classic. Some more T. Kingfisher, some TJ Klune, The House in the Cerulean Sea, and there's some really interesting books in here that I, again, would like to add to my personal TBR. Andy Weir has appeared quite a few times, which you can probably understand given that it's hot topic with the film coming out. Okay, the next couple of questions are ones I've been really looking forward to seeing what you guys have come up with for these. And the first one is a non-fiction book you'd recommend to fiction lovers, because we all know somebody who never reads non-fiction but would like to try, and hopefully these books will give you what you need. Okay, so what did I call this? Non-fiction for fiction lovers. There are some really interesting books in here, and a lot of these I have personally not read, so I am really looking forward to the potential of reading these. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, I'm pretty sure I have that on my TBR. You can just get that one for free, so it's not hard to read. I don't think it's very long either. This strong female character looks very interesting to me. Maybe you should talk to someone who looks really interesting. Nothing to Envy, Ordinary Lives in North Korea also looks very interesting. I have read Divine Might, so that's one. Storyland I have seen around and I was tempted to buy it, but I didn't end up doing that, so maybe I will now. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, I've read that. And I'm glad my mum died. I've never really looked into it, but I've seen it everywhere and I always thought it was fiction, but I guess it's not fiction. And there are some really interesting books in here that I am very interested in reading. Okay, next we have a book you initially hated or struggled with and then came to love. So I have called this Worth the Initial Struggle. We have 34 books in this list, so slightly less in this one, but there are a lot of classics in here, like a lot, which makes sense because it's a completely different style to what you would, modern books, how they're written. So it might be a bit of a struggle to get used to reading them. And then we also have a few that are in here that are potentially like difficult topics. Again, the fifth season is here. So that indicates to me that it's worth the initial struggle, and instead of struggling through it, I just stopped. We also have Gideon the Ninth here, which happens to be my favorite book personally. I am glad it made the list. I was wondering if it would make any of the lists, and it only made this one, but I can understand the initial struggle. It's got a very specific style. Got 1984, which makes sense to be in here. Some Terry Pratchett, Dracula, like again, a lot of classics. And then we have things like Lord of the Rings and The Secret History, which is, a different style or tone of the book. So that also makes sense. Okay, next we have a book you'd specifically recommend as an audiobook. And I wanted to put this one together because I wanted to find books personally for me that you knew were going to be great as an audiobook. So I've called this Top Audiobook Recs. There were quite a few really good suggestions and quite a few that I was not expecting. The Hunger Games makes sense. I've never read that as an audiobook. I've always read that as a physical book. So I'd be interested to hear what the audiobook is like. And I presume if it's a popular book, it's going to be good. We have Elton John in here, which makes sense. Any autobiography, if it's read especially by either a famous person or the person themselves, is going to be really interesting to listen to. We've got Medea in here, which I have read and I didn't know that there was an audiobook, so interested to hear if that is good listening for me personally. We've got The Golden Compass, which I know is good as an audiobook because I have listened to that as an audiobook. And then we've got things like Daisy Jones and the Six and A River Enchanted and The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. All great books, although, well, I've not read Daisy Jones, but I've heard it's very good. And then things like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, which makes sense that they would be good because there's probably full cast versions of those audiobooks, which would probably be amazing. Okay, the next one is probably one that I was most excited about, which is a book that made you understand or empathize with someone completely different from you. And I have called this must-read empathy books, and there's 43 in here, so I'm pretty pleased about that. And the selection of books in this list in particular is very interesting, and I want to pick up more of these. There's a very few that I have actually read, and you'll see some of them that appeared in other lists too. There are some really good books in here, ones that I have definitely heard of and ones that I have not, and I definitely want to read. Actually, there are a couple I've read. I've always seen Pachinko in various places, and I've been curious to pick it up, but I never have, so maybe I will now. Cemetery Boys I've heard really good things about. Kitchen, if I saw that in a bookshop, I would never pick it up. I just wouldn't. Like, the cover is not traditionally appealing to me, but after reading the description of this one, I think I might have to pick that up. So thank you guys for that one in particular. There were some that I ended up filtering out, but in all of them really, but that one was particularly good. Okay, and then we have a book you finished and immediately wanted to talk to someone about. And I've called this Books You'll Want to Talk About. And we have 39 books in this list. This was probably an easier one to think of something to add. And I was hoping to get a good one to get people to talk to other people about, and would be very entertaining or shocking, or they gripped you so much that you just wanted to tell someone else about it. And so the books in this list are very good. They're a massive mix. So you've got some YA, you've got some adult, you've got some fantasy, you've got some mythology. There's all sorts in here. This is a great list. Sunrise on the Reaping again. There are some really cool things in here that I thought I would really like to read. This Chocolate, I've never read that before. A Guide to the Good Life, I thought that looked really interesting. The Snow Child, I've never heard of that before, but that looks amazing. The Will of the Many, I have read and loved. We've got a bit of The Witcher, which I personally didn't enjoy. In all of these lists, there are a very small handful of books that I personally did not enjoy. Blood Over Brighthaven, I have heard really good things about that. Andy Weir again. Careless People, I'm very interested in reading that. A Little Life I read recently and really liked. So there are amazing things on these lists. Guys, I'm going to be honest, this took absolutely ages to put together, but it couldn't have been more worth it, and I couldn't be more grateful for you guys contributing to it too. I'll leave a link to every challenge I put together in the StoryGraph in the description below, so you can have an explore and see what you might want to pick up or not. My goal was to add these to Pagebound too, but because the StoryGraph ones took so long to put together, I didn't have time to put together the Pagebound ones, but I still want to do them. So I will, but it might take me a while to get there. I'd love to do this experiment again next year, so please let me know in the comments below if you would like to see that, because as I said, this took a lot of work and I want to make sure that people enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time for another video.